everyone, and welcome back to Chainlink Q&A. We're really excited to be here today with the Playground team. As you know, NFTs have been blowing up over the past year. We've seen digital collectibles like Bored Ape Yacht Club, as well as some gaming situations such as Axie Infinity. And now we're seeing a lot of public figures and athletes getting into the space. So Playground, we're here with Cher and Ethan. They're going to share more about that side of things and what they're doing in the blockchain space. So welcome, guys. How are you?
Doing well, Zaji. Thanks so much for having us. I really appreciate it. Been working with Chainlink a long time, and I really think that a lot of what Playground and what's happening in the dynamic NFT space is really a game changer for athletes and collectibles in general.
Great. And we also have Harris here as well, if you want to say hi.
Hey guys, good to see you all again.
Perfect. So we'll go ahead and kick things off. So what are you all building at Playground? What's making it special in the blockchain space? And how are you tying in, the creator economy as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Playground is a dynamic NFT creative studio. And so what that means is we create NFTs that actually change based on real life events. So what that means is some data field somewhere out there in the world gets populated, and then we can actually turn that data into a product that lets fans emotionally and financially invest into whatever result we want to trigger based on how that data changes. And so, a lot of this was inspired by Ethan and I grew up in LA, big Laker fans growing up. The Lakers give out 2 free tacos every time the Lakers score more than 111 points and another team scores less than 111. What ended up happening was this funny world where in the fourth quarter of a Laker game, you see a lot of fans screaming, "We want tacos, we want tacos."
I've literally been that fan, by the way.
yes, right. And it's funny how even if the Lakers are theoretically winning by 10, 20 points, whatever it is, it's the fourth quarter, the game's going to end. Fans still care and want to be engaged just because they can get food at the end of it. Ethan and I have a background in corporate strategy and brand marketing. And so, being somewhat crypto native and trying to tie those two backgrounds together, we thought to ourselves, how can we create an engaging experience where a fan is kind of participating in the game, not just because they want, their favorite player or their favorite team to win, but actually because they can get some kind of reward at the end of it. We thought about that for a while, but then, looking deeper into NFTs and Chainlink as a whole, we kind of thought, okay, wait, all of this that's happening is a combination of stats and rewards, and sports leagues, ESPN, the NBA are so stats based. And so why don't we bring in some of our brand partners to be able to give rewards? So yeah, overall, what Playground is doing is connecting brands and creators so that fans who are watching a creator can win rewards from brands as those creators accomplish whatever we ask them to accomplish.
Gotcha. So as the people are watching this, maybe not everyone's going to be getting tacos from the dynamic NFTs, right? But I guess, can you guys expand a little bit in terms of what you see, what is, I guess, a dynamic? You hinted at it a little bit just briefly, but what is the what are the dynamic NFTs that you're building? And what kind of rewards can these enthusiasts or these fans of these teams, expect potentially? Maybe it is tacos. I don't know, but you tell us.
Yeah. There's something there that we can probably hint on a future call. Melo is a big burritos and tacos guy. I don't know, Ethan. Do you want to talk a little bit about the different NFTs and the rewards that are entailed?
Yeah. So we when thinking of this, segmented Melo's statistical performance into originally 3 main categories and a 4th, which was his Rookie of the Year award. The first 3 are points, steals, and assists, and the 4th was the Rookie of the Year award. So when we originally minted with drop number 1, Melo was not yet the Rookie of the Year. He was a contender, and basically the premise was that if he were to become Rookie of the Year, that the Rookie of the Year NFT would evolve and go from bronze to gold. That ended up happening, and obviously the value of that specific Rookie of the Year award reflected in the open market. People valued it because they emotionally were able to invest and own the prediction that they predicted correctly that Melo would actually get to become Rookie of the Year. Rewards wise, there are a number of different things. So LaMelo, obviously being an NBA athlete, people want to go and attend his games. Game tickets have been a super popular reward. Very fun thing for fans to attend. whether you are, anywhere in the US. So we actually issue a trait based off of, using VRF to distribute it. And fans will actually get that ticket and they can select any game in Melo's season in any city, and actually go and fulfill, similar to a checkout process if they have that trait, and they're able to get that game ticket sent directly to them, and they lose the trait when they do that. So this is kind of like an important point, but rewards typically are going under like token gated environments. We're I think one of the only collections that issue rewards directly on chain, and have them actually exist on the NFT as a like visual component, and as a trait. So super cool there. Beyond that, we have given out a ton of LaMelo Ball jerseys, signed memorabilia. Obviously, he has his Puma shoe. Melo's the first Puma MB1, which is his signature shoe. The first Puma MB1 that was actually signed by LaMelo in existence was given to someone who owned his Red Mars NFT, and they won that by simply owning and investing in Melo as a fan. And so it's a wide array of things, and it's an ever expanding like rewards, like a supply of rewards that are being layered in. But yeah, tickets, merchandise, digital assets. We have actually hinted some things with Sandbox, so you can imagine there's going to be more NFTs, coming to Melo's community in the form of rewards.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. I'm like, I need to get myself some of this. So that's awesome. And you're talking a lot about how some of this is on chain. You're doing this in a more unique way. Would you say that with the community, it has been easy to bridge the gap between just being a regular fan of LaMelo's and then diving into all of this conversation of bringing in NFTs and rewards? What has that been like?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if that easy is the right word, but people are definitely open-minded. I think when Melo himself is able to say, hey guys, this really is my project, like, pay attention, I'll be in the Discord myself, I'll coach you through anything you might need help with. And I think there's a lot of
I didn't realize that. Is he in the Discord?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
Melo
that's
himself
really
is in the Discord, right? So Melo actually talks to his fans. And I think actually one of the things that Ethan glossed over is the idea that Melo, you actually get direct access to Melo himself by being a holder in the community. So Melo himself is actually participating, and then as a result, people are able to just win rewards based on how Melo wants to interact with his fans in any way. Sorry, I forgot the question.
Just like, you were just going down the rabbit hole of like, how does the community get involved? Like, has there been education you've been creating, or how are you doing that?
Yeah. So what I think is really cool about this in particular is that like nobody thinks that Melo himself is some smart contract blockchain expert in the first place, right? Obviously, he has a team of people that are supporting him. At the very beginning, when we first dropped the collection, what that meant was it was really cool because Melo himself being in the Discord means that he is also posing questions alongside other people, and also sometimes fielding answers from the community while we're also educating other people on how to get involved in the NFT or crypto space. So a good example would be, in some cases, Melo has younger fans who have never heard of MetaMask before. And while we're helping people with a separate AMA and Discord and helping people understand how to make their MetaMask and how to make use of their MetaMask, on the flip side, people from the community will be saying things like, I remember one thing in particular was people were talking about the floor price of the NFTs, and Melo himself types like, what does floor price mean? And the community is like, oh, this is the cheapest NFT in the collection. So it's like the authenticity of Melo actually being there, himself learning about the same things that we're also trying to educate the rest of the community on, means that Melo himself is kind of just like forming a world where it's like, it's okay to not necessarily know about Web3 stuff. That's totally fine. As long as you're open-minded, we can educate people on, everything from, as granular as smart contracts up until as simple as, how to put ETH in a wallet. So there's a very live, authentic participation of Melo himself in educating the community. It hasn't been easy, but it's been a long time coming. And of course, the NFT space itself is also has been blowing up, feels like nonstop for, let's say, a year and a half straight now. So, every day it feels like, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of more people are kind of like absorbing the crypto ecosystem with Melo himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on that note, I know I don't know exact numbers, but I know that there are a ton of people that purchased Melo's NFT, and that was their first NFT that they ever purchased. Oftentimes on Twitter, Melo will get tagged in, like reply threads of people asking like, "What was your first NFT?" Melo seems to come up pretty frequently, honestly, being that we have like 3.2K holders roughly, and I think a lot of them were actually first-time NFT buyers, and it's really cool to see because there's a lot of people who came in, got exposed with Melo's NFTs, and really dived deep into the NFT space from there. So there's a lot of like new wallet exposure, new collector exposure in the NFT space through Melo's collection specifically.
Yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like is there's like a level of relatability because of the authenticity and because of the fandom. And so for people to participate and get all of these rewards and these benefits and be like even a more intimate fan, like how are you guys closing like the education gap to participate, given that some of these people might be the first time NFT buyer for this collection?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways. I think Sherif definitely has some thoughts on that, but starting with just education on the site, like when we were thinking of the FAQs on the site, it was more than just like token setup and like general info. It really went into like intense detail, educational detail on like what a smart contract is, what an audit is, like even things that you don't necessarily like need to put on there, but we went like above and beyond with information, and kind of making it like as seamless as possible, and using the website and also the Discord as a source of info. Our Discord channel for the Melo collection still to this day has educational pieces and rooms that are like publicly available for any LaMelo Ball fan. Keep in mind the Discord is LaMelo Ball's Discord in general, but that information is there and is accessible. So lots of educational information and content, and in general, just around the minting, we host like AMA sessions and live chats, specifically around like answering questions and obviously keeping up with community, answering as many questions as we humanly can, between us and the different mods and community managers that we have, and really just equipping everyone with that info. But what we also have seen, which is really cool and is really native to like the Web3 space, is we're seeing community helping community. New people will come in, ask a question, and they'll be flooded with like 10 or 15 responses of like answers and just general advice and direction. So, it's actually turning into like an actual community of people helping each other, and really like having the crypto experts and the NFT experts be willing to help newcomers.
Yeah, it sounds like a super collaborative space. And as you mentioned, that is hopefully how Web3 will just continue to go. And I think that's why it is such a welcoming place to be. Very cool. So discussing more of the Chainlink integration, we've talked a little bit about the dynamic NFT side, but you also discussed VRF. Do you maybe want to touch on how VRF is integrated into some of these collections as well?
Yeah. VRF is actually like a pretty critical component to everything we're doing, because what VRF allows is kind of like, for the first time on chain, people can actually just transparently get rewards, in our case at least, rewards in a way that's basically completely decentralized, right? I cannot choose who gets a reward from LaMelo's collection. LaMelo can't choose who gets a reward from LaMelo's collection. Everything happens entirely transparently on chain, and when you get a reward, it's the confidence of knowing that it's always a randomly distributed gift. That's a pretty central component. I think it's going to be necessary. I mean, going beyond Melo and going beyond Playground, I can see a future where this is going to be the standard of how people give rewards to their communities anyway. So yeah, just very simply being able to randomly distribute on chain is a game changer for everything, and it affects everything from NFTs to early access packs that come from NFTs, or brand rewards that are tied to NFTs. Play to earn gaming is going to have VRF implications. So there's plenty of space for VRF to kind of lead the charge in being the transparent force in distribution of rewards to consumers.
Yeah, I mean, so with the enablement of the randomness element, right, and ensures like equity across the distribution of these rewards, like where do you see it going? You know, like you could do tacos, but you could also do like tons of other stuff too, right? And so,
Yeah.
have you guys thought about where the next frontier could be? You know, locally with what you're working on, or like, are you talking with other folks who are excited about other elements that this technology could provide from a user experience perspective or like a fan experience perspective?
Yeah, totally. So there's two sides to that. There's one, like for instance, Ethan brought up earlier, memorabilia, right? Distribution of Melo's memorabilia. So on one side, there's the ability. We connected the Gold Sun #1 NFT, which is the first edition of the gold NFT for Melo. We connected that to the physical shoes that he wore when he became the youngest player in NBA history to get a triple double. And so as a result, the person that purchased that NFT got those shoes. There's no VRF integration there. But then on the flip side, we have Melo's high school championship ring that he got when I don't know, a lot of sports fans like to say that it was the best high school basketball team of all time. The very real probability. So his high school championship ring, we actually have. And so we're specifying that someone from the blue NFT will be able to actually win that based on VRF on chain, right? So we're already experimenting on, what does it look like when somebody wants to, really put their all in and try to get, access to the #1 NFT versus what does it look like from the community perspective when we're randomly distributing gifts. The flip side of that is also, of course, there's a ton of brand and media partners that just want to be involved with Melo in a general basis, and so they also want to be equitable in how they offer rewards and still align with Melo's community. So if you can think of a brand like, let's say, Puma, obviously Puma and Melo have a long-standing relationship. If Puma wants to randomly distribute gifts to fans, but wants to ensure that whatever fan receives the Puma gift happens to really like LaMelo, they now have just a really quick access path using Melo's collection and VRF to be able to say, we'll give, let's just say theoretically thousands of dollars worth of free Puma gear, but predicated on who's involved in Melo's community using VRF as a technology. So being able to combine brand rewards that maybe they don't want to make their own NFT collection, but they can just immediately align with Melo, that power only comes into play because VRF is in place and they can equitably distribute those gifts through Melo's community.
So those in a way, just as you're saying this, in a way, it's almost like native to a blockchain experience as well, right? So like this really could only be enabled through smart contracts and providing that, transfer of value or that appropriate level of selectivity in, of course, with the VRF function, with the randomness, to provide that unique fan experience. Like as you're talking about, like, how do you do it?
Yeah, exactly. The I guess the traditional, or maybe you might want to call it like the Web 2 route of this would be if like brand XYZ wants to sponsor LaMelo, that brand probably puts up a lot of dollars and then releases a press release that just says, hey, we're sponsoring LaMelo. And that then there's just some social media engagement farming. That's kind of it. Blockchain and VRF empower the ability for that brand to, instead of saying, let's sponsor the player and release and do a press release, now that brand can just say, let's just give rewards directly to the community. I mean, that is the ultimate proof that we're aligning with that specific creator, that community, or whatever. So so this is just it's a more streamlined, direct way to align brands and creators through the power of VRF.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're all really deep in this space of, athletes and connecting them to their fans and also, tying in blockchain. So what have you been seeing over the past few months? Where do you see this space going? And are there any other, athletes or teams that you're all thinking about potentially getting involved with? Just curious how you're thinking about all this.
Yeah, totally. From a data perspective, sports is kind of intuitive, right? People connect the idea of sports and stats kind of inherently. But I think what people tend to forget, and I think this is in particular really interesting to Playground, is that there's kind of data embedded into just about everything media and entertainment related as well. So if you think about, let's say, box office sales and a specific movie, right? You can actually earn an NFT that changes itself based on the box office sales of a specific movie reaching a certain threshold. And then you can say, hey, if this threshold is reached, then everybody who owns this NFT gets Y result, or they get some kind of outcome out of it as a result. There's also like, we think about music and streaming all the time. If you think about a song going gold or diamond or platinum or whatever, all of those things are just, RIAA looks at the data and says when the data crosses a certain threshold, hey, this person just went platinum. So let's show everybody that, this artist has now a platinum plaque. In reality, that is just a data feed that's informing a product. And so what we're thinking is, like I said, sports was an intuitive place to start because people connect those two things. But I think people overlook how much data is fed into media and entertainment as a whole. And so I think music and movies in particular is something that we've been spending a lot of time looking at. And you're probably going to see some cool dynamic NFTs based on streaming counts and box office sales later this year.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And I just remember, and you brought up, other teams and players. Yes, so we've been talking to a number of players, and as well as a number of teams who want to be able to provide these kinds of rewards. And I think one thing that's really important to us at the Jump is, we've been aligning the different brand partners with Melo outside of the NFT space for a while. So now what we can do is start leveraging some brand partners who maybe, let's say, theoretically wanted to get involved with, let's say, the Atlanta Hawks or something like that. Now we can go on a team basis and say, hey, Atlanta Hawks, do you think this brand aligns, and be able to provide, again, rewards based on if the Hawks and the brand want to agree to some kind of deal. So yeah, doing that on a repeated basis between different players and different teams has been top of mind, and maybe even a particular professional sports league that you'll probably see be announced in the next month or so.
I see Ethan just like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And so, I appreciate you answering my questions. I'm just curious, And Ethan, did you have anything else you wanted to add about what you're all like building, what you're working on right now?
I think Cher kind of, hit across a bunch of different points. But yeah, just kind of reiterating, like, the ability to very fairly distribute a rare reward to a large group of people using VRF. Like, if we had, for instance, Cher mentioned the high school ring. If we were to distribute that to the Blue Neptune community of Melo, like the Blue Neptune tier of Melo's NFTs, no one can really challenge the fairness if we use VRF, right? Like, it was done in the best possible way to ensure that there was no tampering, there was no us selecting someone or determining who wins in advance. So the ability to take extremely rare rewards or high value rewards and distribute them in the most possible fair way. I think that's like also just a key thing, especially with Melo having rare memorabilia. There's only so many game worn pieces that he owns, and things like that. So it definitely is instrumental in making sure that community understands and feels as though this is like done in the most fair possible way, which is very important. And so I think other than that, he kind of hit on so many points.
I'll add another point on that is actually the fact that when we're thinking about these rewards, it might sound intuitive to think, the discount at at McDonald's or something that wants to align with Melo. But also keep in mind, given the composability of the contracts, and given that the different metaverse realms that will probably have some kind of footing in the athlete or just in general, like the celebrity space, what it means is that we can also use VRF to get people to want to be involved in the other platforms. For instance, you're going to see an announcement about Melo and Sandbox coming together pretty soon. We can use VRF to distribute rewards specific to Sandbox, but still to Melo's community. And that incentivizes people to just want to be involved in many different metaverse platforms. So the rewards don't necessarily have to be from a brand like Poop or something, but instead could actually be rewards where the community just gets access to other metaverse platforms, other games, maybe get specific avatars or clothes in other digital realms. So yeah, the rewards themselves can be pretty unique in nature as well.
Mm-hmm. Super cool, man. I mean, as you guys are talking about this, the whole network effect of this entire experience touches so many different players within the existing world of sports and entertainment. I'm curious, before we wrap up, to reflect back on the fans, like, as you guys obviously very passionate about what we're working on here together, But when you see in the Discord with the fans or the experiences that they're sharing, you guys have a unique view into that fan experience with this technology. Like, if you don't mind indulging us, like, what are some of the things that people are most excited about and like presently? And I mean, as you're saying, you know, more partnerships potentially in the pipeline and all this other stuff. What's getting them going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I would say, well, so two things are one combination of, keep in mind this community is a combination of Melo super fans and then more broadly NFT and or basketball fans, right? So those two categories of people probably have like somewhat similar overlapping, but also disparate interests. So on one side, you can see from the Melo side, yeah, some people are obsessed with, you know, the idea of owning Melo's high school championship ring. And some people are just more like, oh, what is, you know, another cool opportunity. Clearly the playground guys are going to be able to show us, you know, give us access to, let's say, some kind of basketball game that comes out, let's say 6 months from now or something like that. I think play to earn in particular is something that everybody seems to be kind of like overlapping interest in. And yeah, obviously VRF has a big stronghold there. But yeah, just overall, it's a combination of people who really just want to get closer access constantly to Melo. And then more broadly, people who just want to be able to greater participate in the basketball and crypto intersection, and however that plays out over the course of the next couple of years.
Yeah, and kind of to add to that, you know, there isn't really a solid way or an easy way for a fan to interact or even speak directly with Melo. And this is, you know, kind of one of the only way, I think the only way to directly access Melo. So fans are definitely excited about, you know, being able to send the message and have Melo even just heart it, you know, like that interaction is not something that can necessarily happen on like Instagram or Twitter, just because of the nature of how that's built. And so, you know, using NFTs to gate access to those chats where Melo is actually participating is huge. I also wanted to note on having rewards exist on chain. You know, being able to receive, for instance, the game worn, you know, memorabilia piece or a jersey or a game ticket as an on-chain reward puts you as the owner of that token ID, that NFT. You now own the NFT, which an award is connected to, right? So you can rack up, you know, a jersey, you can rack up tickets, but you don't necessarily have to redeem it right away, or you don't have to actually like get the actual item. You can stack up an NFT to have multiple rewards, and if you wanted to, you can sell your NFT with, you know, things attached to it. Whereas that wasn't necessarily like an option before. You know, if you want something to immediately get shipped to you, so you can kind of, you know, rack up things like memorabilia, but not need to necessarily like hold on to it physically or be responsible for it physically. I think that's a huge thing that is kind of not overlooked, but it's going to become more and more prominent as this, you know, continues to build out, and eventually working on you know, being able to actually trade those rewards and sell those rewards separately from the token. That's something that we're also, you know, working on, being able to trade those rewards and actually like hold your NFT and separate the two, but they're also connected because it's all on chain, right? Like it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, well, incredible. It sounds like everything you're building is just blowing up. So how can people jump into the Discord? Where can they find more about Playground? Tell us.
Yeah. So Discord is discord.gg/LaMelo Ball. It's a verified Discord. No one's we don't send any invites or we don't reach out. I know people put that in their names and stuff, but yeah, discord.gg/LaMelo Ball. You'll see the server is verified. So, you know, make sure you're in the right one. And then beyond that, our Twitter for this LaMelo project is at LaMeloverse. So it's LaMeloverse. And Playground's Twitter is at NFT Playground. And yeah, beyond that, following Melo directly is also a good source. And yeah, I think we're basically, that's it. Those are our different socials.
And LaMeloBall.io.
LaMeloBall.io is our website. Yes. but yeah, between all of those, I guess the Discord would probably be the safest place or the easiest place to find all of those other links too. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you both so much. Honestly, Ethan, Cher, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I feel like I learned so much each time. Harrison, I really enjoyed hosting this with you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Totally. Thank you guys so much. This has been awesome.